When God is about to bless you with something big, your life won't get easier. It will get more challenging, more uncertain, and more tested. But don't be discouraged. These are the very signs that your breakthrough is near. My dear brothers and sisters, have you ever felt like you are standing at the edge of something great, yet everything around you seems to be falling apart? Have you prayed for a breakthrough only to find yourself in the middle of a storm? Let me tell you today, when God is about to give you something big, you will see the signs. The first sign is spiritual warfare. When a great blessing is near, the enemy will not sit still. You may face doubt, unexpected opposition, and moments of weariness, but do not be discouraged. The battle is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign of destiny. When you are walking toward God's promise, the enemy will try to block your path. But remember, greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. 1 John 4:04. The second sign is a season of preparation and testing. Think about Joseph. Before he ruled Egypt, he endured betrayal, slavery, and prison. God does not give us great blessings without first shaping our character to handle them. If you are experiencing delays or difficulties, do not lose heart. These trials are refining you, strengthening your faith, and preparing you for what is to come. The third sign is doors closing before the right one opens. Many times we cling to things God wants us to release. But just as a master builder removes old stones to lay a stronger foundation, God clears the way for something better. When you feel like everything is shifting, do not fear. Your next chapter is being written by the author of all good things. So, my friends, if you find yourself in a battle, in a test, or in a season of change, rejoice. Do not give up. These are not signs of failure, but of favor. Hold fast to your faith, for when God is about to give you something big, He makes sure you are ready to receive it. When God is about to bless you in a big way, spiritual warfare intensifies. This is not a coincidence. It is a direct response to the breakthrough that is coming. The enemy does not attack where there is no threat. If you are facing increased struggles, doubts, or resistance, it is because something powerful is on its way. The closer you get to God's promise, the louder the opposition becomes. Darkness does not disturb those who walk aimlessly, but it trembles before those who are stepping into divine purpose. Consider Job. He was a righteous man, blessed abundantly, yet he faced immense suffering. Why? Because he was a man of faith, and his unwavering trust in God was a threat to the adversary. When God allows spiritual battles, it is not to harm you, but to refine you. The enemy's attacks are often disguised as discouragement, unexpected setbacks, or moments where everything seems to be going wrong. But these are not signs of defeat. They are signs that something significant is unfolding. The enemy would not waste energy on someone who is not destined for greatness. The enemy's strategy is subtle. He plants thoughts of doubt, whispers lies, and tries to convince you that God has forgotten you. He uses circumstances to make you question your calling. Perhaps you prayed for a breakthrough, but instead of open doors, you see obstacles. Instead of peace, you feel turmoil. This is precisely how the battle manifests. The closer you are to your promise, the more the enemy fights to keep you from it. The Israelites, after being delivered from Egypt, faced opposition at every turn. Before reaching the promised land, they encountered the Red Sea, the wilderness, and enemy nations. Their journey was marked by obstacles, but each one was a step closer to what God had prepared for them. One of the most deceptive attacks in spiritual warfare is the temptation to give up. The enemy knows he cannot take away what God has destined for you, so his goal is to make you surrender it voluntarily. He magnifies your struggles, making them seem unbearable, hoping you will step back in fear. But in these moments, faith must rise. God does not bring you to the edge of a breakthrough only to abandon you. Every battle is evidence that you are advancing. The resistance you feel is proof that the enemy is losing ground. In times of spiritual warfare, you must stand firm. Prayer becomes your weapon, worship becomes your battle cry, and faith becomes your shield. The enemy's attacks may feel relentless, but they are temporary. He is not attacking your past, he is attacking your future. And if your future were not powerful, he would not bother. Instead of fearing the battle, embrace it as confirmation that God is working. Do not retreat, do not waver. When spiritual warfare increases, it means your victory is near. Stay steadfast, for the enemy's opposition is only a sign that God's promise is about to unfold in ways beyond what you can imagine. When God is preparing to give you something big, he first prepares you to receive it. A season of preparation and testing is not punishment, it is refinement. Just as gold is purified through fire, so too must your faith, character, and endurance be tested before you can step into the fullness of God's blessing. The greater the calling, the greater the preparation. You cannot carry a great destiny with a weak foundation. God loves you too much to give you something you are not ready to handle. He does not just want you to receive the blessing, he wants you to sustain it and thrive in it. Look at the life of Joseph. God gave him a vision of greatness when he was young, but before he could wear the robe of authority, he had to walk through betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. Every hardship he faced was not a detour, it was divine preparation. He learned leadership in Potiphar's house, integrity in the face of temptation, and patience in the prison. If Joseph had been promoted too soon, he would not have been ready to lead a nation. God was not delaying his promise, he was shaping him for it. What looked like setbacks were actually steps leading him into destiny. There are moments when God allows you to experience loss, rejection, and closed doors. In those times, it may feel as though God is silent, but he is working. He removes what no longer serves his purpose in your life. He allows trials to develop endurance because what he has for you requires strength. A strong tree does not grow in shallow soil. Its roots must go deep, anchoring it firmly before it can withstand the storms that come. Likewise, God strengthens your spiritual roots before entrusting you with more. The very trials that make you question everything are the tools God uses to build you into who you are meant to be. The waiting season can be painful. It can feel like nothing is happening, but in reality, everything is happening. God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating details you cannot yet see. He is testing your faithfulness in small things before giving you bigger responsibilities. David was anointed as king, but did not take the throne immediately. Instead, he spent years tending sheep, facing rejection, and running from Saul. Yet each challenge prepared him to lead with wisdom, humility, and courage. God does not waste anything. Every tear, every hardship, every delay is part of a greater purpose. What feels like waiting is actually building. The strength, wisdom, and resilience you gain in the process are what will sustain you in the next season. If God gave you everything too soon, it could crush you instead of bless you. Trust the process. What you are enduring is not in vain. You are being shaped for something greater than you can imagine. Keep walking in faith, because when God is preparing to give you something big, He first prepares you to carry it. When God is about to bless you with something big, He often closes doors that no longer align with His plan for your life. This can be one of the most difficult and confusing experiences because human nature clings to what is familiar. It is easy to trust God when everything is going smoothly, but when opportunities vanish, relationships dissolve, or familiar paths suddenly come to an end, doubt creeps in. It can feel like rejection, disappointment, or even failure, but in reality, it is divine redirection. God does not remove something unless He intends to replace it with something greater. The story of Elijah and the widow of Zarephath is a powerful reminder of how God shifts provision. Elijah was sustained by a brook that provided water and ravens that brought him food. But one day the brook dried up. God could have kept the water flowing, but instead, He allowed the provision to cease so that Elijah would move to the next place of blessing. Had the brook never dried up, Elijah might have stayed in that place, missing the greater provision God had waiting for him. Sometimes, the only way God can get you to move into your destiny is by allowing the old sources to run dry. Abraham had to leave his homeland without knowing where God was leading him. Peter had to leave his fishing nets behind to follow Jesus. Paul had to let go of his past identity to embrace his calling. Every major transition in the Bible required someone to walk away from something in order to step into something greater. When God is shifting you, it can feel like everything is falling apart, but in reality, He is setting you up for something better. The places, people, and opportunities you once depended on may no longer fit where God is taking you. If He is closing a door, it is because He sees what you cannot. It is in these moments that faith is tested the most. The enemy will whisper lies, making you believe that you have been abandoned or that your best days are behind you. But God never takes away without purpose. He removes what is temporary to establish what is permanent. What seems like an ending is actually a new beginning. If Joseph had remained in his father's house, he would never have reached the palace. If Ruth had stayed in Moab, she would never have walked into God's plan for her future. If Jesus' disciples had clung to their old way of life, they would never have become world changers. Trust the closed doors. Trust the unanswered prayers. Trust the endings you did not expect. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. The things that seem to be falling apart are actually falling into place. When God is about to give you something big, He first clears away what no longer serves His purpose. He does not just want to bless you, He wants to prepare you for a blessing that will last. Let go of what is behind and step forward in faith, because what He has ahead is far greater than anything left behind. My dear brothers and sisters, when God is about to give you something big, the journey leading up to it is rarely easy. The intensified battles, the season of preparation, and the closing of doors are not signs of abandonment, but of divine alignment. The enemy fights hardest when he knows a breakthrough is near. Trials and tests refine you, shaping your heart and faith to handle the blessing ahead. And when doors close, it is because God is making room for something far greater than you could imagine. So do not be discouraged by the battles. Do not fear the waiting. Do not cling to what God is asking you to release. These are not obstacles. They are indicators that you are stepping into something extraordinary. God is not just blessing you, He is preparing you to sustain the blessing, to walk in greater purpose, and to impact others through His plan for your life. Stay steadfast, hold on to His promises, and trust that what is coming is worth everything you have endured. Thank you all for allowing me to share this message with you today. My prayer is that you walk forward in faith, knowing that God is working in ways beyond what you can see. If you are facing challenges, remember, it is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of something greater. May you be strengthened, encouraged, and filled with hope as you wait for the amazing things God has in store for you. God bless you.